So Carey, how did you end up meeting Rocky, and how did you guys start talking about pro wrestling?
That's a really good question. So in 2015, I came out to Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon, and my job was initially just to teach drama at a school. But you have to understand, Chris, since I've had memory, I have loved professional wrestling. In fact, I had the great honor of seeing you at WrestleMania 18 live at the Sky Dome. It's not the Rogers Center.
Okay, right.
And when I came out here, I didn't have that many friends. And most teachers that live out here, they form friends at the schools that they work at. But for me, I wanted to branch out. So I went online and I looked up on Facebook to see what type of worlds are out there for pro wrestling fans. And so one day, Chris, I'm online and I see there's a group called Saigon Pro Wrestling Club. And I think to myself, okay, I wonder what that's about. So I message, not knowing that Rocky here was on the other end of this conversation. And I asked him, what are you guys doing? And he said, we're training to be pro wrestlers. And I thought, okay, maybe it's similar to like the Monster Factory in the United States.
Right.
Maybe it's like Stu's Dungeon. And so I asked Rocky, what's the address for this training center? And he sends me the address, and I go and scope this area of the city. Now, for those who don't know, Saigon is very spread out. Think like Los Angeles, but even more chaotic. And so I go to their training center. They're not there at this time. I'm just wanting to see their official SPWC training facility. And I see a guy lying on a hammock who's keeping guard to the building. I see like an abandoned MMA kind of octagon, and I see kind of a dusty boxing gym. And I think to myself, there's no way that this is the wrestling training center. So I kind of go home and I think, okay. So I message back and I ask, do you have any shows coming up in the future? And this is in 2017. And Rocky says, yeah, we have a show and we'd love for you to come. So I tell my friends, I go, do you guys want to go? And I get about 30 people. And I message Rocky and I say, I would like 30 tickets to this pro wrestling show in Vietnam. And he says, well, I think it needs to be less because it might not be what you think. So he says, how about you bring 4 people? And I go, okay. So again, I'm a little bit confused as to what's happening. So I get a couple of my friends, and the show is at 10 a.m. on a Sunday in sunny Saigon. And Rocky sends me the address, and the address that comes up this time is this Vietnamese sports complex. It's almost like an Olympic training facility. I'm wearing, and my friends are wearing, tank tops with these WWE wrestlers. We have a Bret Hart. We have a Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin. We're ready to rage out. My friend even grabbed some morning beers for the pro wrestling show to bring with him. We arrive at the venue, Chris, and I look at it and I go, where's the wrestling? And Rocky says, come upstairs. It's on the next floor. So I come up, I walk around the corner, and I look into the room. And what I see is about 15 very, very slim, young Vietnamese guys. And they're wearing their outfits, which are kind of like sports trunks. They have Rocky has his yellow t-shirt, which he's wearing right now. And there's no ring. There's just a giant, hard as a rock judo mat. And immediately I go, what have I gotten myself into, and what is about to happen? And Chris, to let you know about myself, I was loving every second of it because I thought, I've been to WrestleMania and now I'm here. I don't know what I'm about to see. And here's the cool thing. Rocky and the other wrestlers, they asked me and my friends to sit at the edge of the mat. There was about 15 other people from Vietnam there as well. And all of a sudden, music starts. The guys are doing walkouts, kind of coming from outside the hallway into the room, doing their entrances. And then, Chris, they put on these matches. And I'll tell you one thing. In that very moment, I realized these guys have it. They have heart. They have a desire to be the best pro wrestlers, and they took bumps on these hard mats. They were fighting all around this room, and it was one of the most inspiring things I've ever seen because they didn't have the money, they didn't have the flash, they didn't even have a ring, but they had more heart than I've ever seen in my life of anyone I've watched. It's just amazing to watch. And I said to my wife, we took pictures with the guys, of course, and I still have those pictures. And afterwards, I left and I was leaving Vietnam the next year. This is my second time in Vietnam. And I was leaving and I said to her, man, that was one of the coolest live wrestling shows I've ever seen in my life. I hope they keep it up. And so here we are now. When I returned to Vietnam, I ended up reaching out to Rocky, and he asked if I would be willing to kind of come on and do English commentary for their matches. And as you'll soon learn, the rest is history. But it's been a storied adventure, and it's been an honor to be part of VPW and to see these guys grow, Chris.